And welcome to another episode of 50 Shades and Grey. Now, on last week's podcast, I spoke about some of the really interesting characters that I met when I was away in Ibiza. And this week, I'm lucky enough to have one of those guests come on to the show with me. Now, we got chatting when we was away, and it was about dating, and she was telling me about how she'd moved out to Dubai. So I was really interested in that. And then she was telling me how in Dubai she was using the dating apps out there. So straight away, I thought I would love to know if when you move to a different country, whether or not you get the same problems or different problems, or is it a lot better? Because I'm constantly having messages through the podcast and through the Instagram saying about how people who experience problems, it's getting ghosted, people not replying to messages, people being really keen and then completely going off radar. So I thought, what better way to find out if love abroad is any different to love in this country or finding love in this country. So I'm really pleased to welcome with me today, Sam. So welcome, Sam. Sam, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. How you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Fabulous. It's nice to be back, but it was nice to get to Ibiza as well.
As I said, I met Sam out in Ibiza and you're now living in Dubai. Is that right, Sam?
Yes, yeah. I've been there for 8 years now, yeah.
Wow. So just generally, how do you find life in general there, living there?
Oh, God, that's a big question. I mean, it's very different. Of course it is. It takes a lot of getting used to. But I think once you're used to it, it's absolutely fine. But you still miss, I think, being an expat, the things that we're used to as expats, just kind of the normal things apart from Greg's and all that stuff.
So you went, because you were obviously you were friends with Martin and we met and we spoke, but you were living in Ibiza for quite a while before you moved out to Dubai. So why the change? Just fancied just a different challenge?
Yeah, I mean, Ibiza's a fabulous place. It really has something about it that just draws you in. And for me, it was really nice to go. I hadn't been for maybe 3 years. So it was really nice to go and just step back and, feel energized from the island and just how it makes you feel. It's just, again, I worked in nightlife for such a long time that after a while, it is nice to kind of step away from that. And I was also working in nightlife in Dubai. It was great, but I just think maybe I'd had enough. And so it was time for a new adventure for sure.
So what were the biggest changes about moving out to Dubai? Because you speak to loads of people now that all seem to be going out there. Obviously, you've got the tax breaks, which you constantly reminded me of when I was speaking to you.
Tax wages and forever sunshine.
But I mean, what are the big draws there for you, for anyone that is thinking about going there?
I mean, honestly, it's a difficult place and it really does take you a good solid, I'd say 1 to 2 years to really find your feet, understand it, decide whether you love it, hate it, if it's for you, and if you're going to maximize the opportunity and stay there. I think there's a lot of land of opportunity. Same to Ibiza. It really is kind of about who you know, where you are, time. So there's just a lot more prospect to it. But that being said, it is difficult. It's not easy. I know a lot of people that go there and just don't like it. It has its moments. And although, the sun does shine and when it's your day off, you can go for a boozy brunch and a pool and it's amazing, and the tax-free wages, which of course makes a massive difference. I do feel that it has its challenges and you do still have to step out. Like you have to get out of Dubai and go on holiday to just kind of remind yourself of what you've got. It's challenging.
So are you still doing sort of like the hospitality scene, nightlife scene, or are you working a day job now?
I work in luxury retail now. I've actually been in that job for about 6 coming up 7 years. Yeah, it's not where I thought it would be, especially from being, a makeup artist and being creative and constantly being in the nightlife as well and events. I was like, oh, let me just try a bit of normality. And actually, it's probably the most comfortable I've been, so I can't complain.
So where's your accent from? You seem to I can't place where you're from.
So I think this happens because in Dubai, there's so many different nationalities. I end up changing my accent and making it a bit more understandable for everyone. But I am actually Spanish. I was born in Spain, but I was brought up in Manchester. So English is my first language. Everyone says I'm a fake Spaniard, but I'm definitely a real Spaniard. So yeah, I just kind of tailor my accent so everyone can understand for sure.
So you're back in the UK as we speak now, are you?
Yes, I've got like one more week and then I'm back to Dubai. Back to the heat.
Have you noticed any changes sort of coming back to the UK that sort of have struck you, or does it still seem the same place?
I mean, would you like positive or negative?
No, I don't. Both, really. Both.
I think the thing is for me, what shocks me the most every time I come home is definitely, and I think this is maybe because, I have it so well in Dubai, is the litter. There's just so much litter everywhere. And in Dubai, it's like spotless as nothing. And it makes me a bit sad that this is our country and this is how we treat it. But, what to do? I think people are just so miserable here. Even though I've been back and the weather's been gorgeous and it's been like sunshine, people still moan all the time. And I know it's a typical Brit thing to do, but it's just depressing,
Yeah.
And I don't have the right to say how bad I think it is here because I don't live here anymore, but I'm glad that I don't live here. Sorry to say.
Yeah, no, I think like as soon as it became hot, everyone was moaning it was too hot, and then everyone was moaning it's too cold. The only
And then
time
it's
we're actually,
raining, and then it's this, and it's that, and we just love a moan, don't
we do grey miserable really well. We're all
we?
happy with grey miserable. That
Yeah.
is really good for us. So on to the main thing, because this is what struck me the most was obviously a lot of the podcast that I do is around dating, it's around relationships,
Yeah.
and a lot of the messages are about that. So you're single, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
You're single. So you were saying that you're doing the dating apps in Dubai. So is it the same problems as everywhere else, or is it is it a completely different animal out there? And has it worked any better for you than maybe previously when you've done it?
Well, I feel like it's so funny because obviously when I got back home, I was like, oh, let's just see what's on, what's around, see how many likes I've got. Because it's a game at the end of the day, right? You want to see how popular you are, I guess. And I was talking with this guy that actually I'd met, well, I haven't physically met, but like we're on socials talking from probably an online platform. And I was just like, God, I think it'd be so easy to be in a relationship here than it would be in Dubai. I just think people are a bit more simpler here. I think we become so entitled in Dubai just because of, especially people that have lived there for a long time, And there's this funny phrase where we always say, like, when someone's coming over, either catch them when they're super fresh or they've been there for a long time. That's the only time you're going to meet someone to essentially date, maybe it goes somewhere and not just be a couple of dates and some fun. But when I first got to Ibiza, I was catching my friend who still lives there, and she was telling me this story. She'd met this guy, it was just so good, and they had such a good connection. And she'd met him online dating, and he'd almost said that he loved her, and then he had to go away for a job, and then he just kind of ended up ghosting her, and it kind of left her a bit like, what did I do? What was the reason? Or was it all in my head a little bit? And then the day after, my friend arrived that was coming on holiday with me to Ibiza. And she pretty much told me the exact same story with a different situation. And this was that she would set up from a blind date of a friend of a friend. And I was just like, what is wrong with these men, So I think dating is difficult, full stop, no matter where you are in the world. But I definitely think from looking on my platforms here, I feel like it would be a lot easier. But then I haven't gone on any dates here either because I don't live here. So I don't know. It's difficult, full stop.
I mean, one of the things that struck me, and I've said this on the last podcast about when I met you, is you did this thing with your hands with the circle, and it, like you said, this is my sort of my dating pool.
You want to hear my circle, right?
There you go.
You want to hear my circle? Okay, so basically, this is me. I like a particular kind of guy. Okay, so you have, and this is like everyone's different. This is just based on me personally. Okay, maybe everyone's gonna say that my list is too demanding and I expect so much, but it's just what I'm attracted to. I can't help it.
100%, I agree with you. Yeah.
Then you have like what I would say is, Italian, Spanish, English, which is kind of the pool that I'm into. So then you have what's actually single. Okay. And then from the people that are actually single, my smile is getting so small. From the people that are actually single, how many of them actually want to date? you know? So that kind of like leaves this tiny little puddle. And I'm not the only one. Trust me. I have friends who, you know, personally like a darker men, and it's the same situation, just different scales of the
Yeah.
circle. It's so difficult. And then you find someone that you know, it's there's no pressure. It's just you're getting to know each other, and it works well and it's smooth. And then it's kind of like no one's got the balls to really say like, I really like you, I enjoy your company, but I'm just not looking for something right. Like no one wants to allow things to naturally progress. It's all like you get a little bit too scared because, you know, someone's like, oh, let's do this. Oh, we're hanging out too much, you know? And I think it's just so difficult because, especially like I say, for me, being in Dubai, and I think a lot of women can relate, it's very hard because the pool of men which you're trying to date is very small, and there's a lot more women than there is to men ratio. So even if there is a man that is in a relationship, he's looking for somebody else, or he's flirting with somebody else, or you know, there is a man that is available and he wants every single girl that's interested in him. It's just very difficult. So
So,
yeah.
there's a far more women in Dubai than there is guys. Then that are single. Do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I would say that a single. There's obviously a lot of men, and you know, especially in like bars and clubs. I mean, it's calmed down a lot now. I've been in Dubai for a long time, but used to be like it's no men only policy. So if there's, say, for instance, five guys that want to go to a bar, they're not going to let you in unless you have any women ratio. You know, because it's you know, you have to have a ratio, and that's why there's a lot of ladies nights and ladies drink this or this that the other ladies, because it's encouraged the ladies to go because there's so many men as well, you know. So it's difficult.
So are you finding that, like with the pool that you've got, then you kind of know everyone in it? Like as soon as someone new comes in, it's like, right, he doesn't know it.
Anyone else? And then what happens is you get ghosted and you're like, oh, for frick's sake, like what did I do this?
Because that's the thing as well, isn't it? It's not just within that tiny pool. It's not just finding people in that pool. It's then finding people that you actually get on with in that pool,
Exactly,
and you've
that you
got stuff in
connect with,
common.
that you have the same morals and that you respect each other. Exactly. So you know, it's not, it's just slim pickings basically. It's
So,
very
so where are you now then? Are you, because this was the other conversation that I found really interesting that we had, was that you were kind of not resound to being single, but you were like, I'm really happy being single anyway. And are you at the stage where you think, like, because you're still really young. So are you at the stage where you think, do you know what, I'm going to give it 5 years and worry and worry about it then? Or you just like, do you know what, if something comes along now, or you just going to keep jumping in and out?
I think it's so hard because I do ask myself this. I think, right, obviously I've been alone for a long time and I'm very independent and I'm going to do what I want to do, and no one's going to tell me anything, you know, that's all I really know. I've gone from like country to country, just pack up and go, and I just make it work, okay? And I think I would love to meet someone. Of course I would love to meet someone, but I'm not going to just settle. You need to at least be on the same energy. You know, you need to be able to match my energy. I need to feel as feminine as I need to be able to feel, as well as feeling as masculine, and someone be able to respect that. And I think we spoke about this as well, where all the woman really wants is for a man to be a man. And you did disagree because you said, you know, women that are the other way. But I mean, that's how I feel. Like, we need that certainty. I'm not saying I need a man to be the one and only provider, because I need to be a provider as well. That's how I am as a strong person. You know, it's all I know. But I also need that emotional support to be like, I've got this. Don't worry. You know, like it's not all just falling on me. So I think I need to meet someone who matches my energy. I'd love to meet someone, but I'm not going to settle, you know? And then there's that whole thing where I think, oh, is it because I have higher expectations, or I'm not willing to just put up with, I won't put up with it. I'm just not going
Yeah.
to put up with it, you know? It's an easier life being single than it is putting up with rubbish. I understand there's a compromise, of course. You know, I understand that. But I think if the right person comes around, then it was meant to be. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't matter also. You know, there's not really much that I get to play in that, apart from like everything happens for a reason, which is like my biggest motto, you know?
I found that I constantly have that conversation with friends going, oh, you're too picky. And I was like, it's the rest of my life. If I'm not going to be picky about this, then what am I going to be picky about?
I know, but I also feel like, exactly, I feel in that instance, I'm like, oh, should I tolerate a bit more? Should I put up with a bit more? Like, I don't know. I find it bizarre. Like, I find it bizarre. And is it we're too fussy, or is it exactly like you just haven't found the person that you can match your energy with,
But do you not think as well, though, that when you've had sort of a period of time on your own, and I'm not talking about 2 or 3 weeks, because you've got these people that jump in and out of relationships every 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And they have to have someone there. And it's not like it's
Pathetic.
someone special. It's like a bit of driftwood. It's like, come here.
Yeah.
I'm going to cling on to you.
Yeah.
I think for me, because I was single a long time, I think it's very much a case of like, I'm quite happy being single, so I'm not going to compromise.
Yeah.
So do you find that, though, because you've been so independent for so long, you think, why do I need to put up with crap?
I think this, like, honestly, and when you say it from that perspective, when you hear people that are in relationships and what's going on, I'm like, God, I'm so glad I'm single. You know what I mean? Like, would I want to deal with that, But then I guess it's also like lessons in life that you need to, it's challenges, it's just different levels of challenges. So you definitely need to, experience some of them. But then I think in my perspective, it's like, I'm very good alone, okay? Very, very, very good alone. Like, I'm doing well for myself. However, I would like to have someone there. I don't need a man. I don't need a man for anything. And I've got to where I am in life because of me, not because of anybody else, just because of me. So I would like to have a man. And I think it's very difficult. And especially, and I think we spoke about this, is that men today are just not men. And it's so hard because I feel like in so many ways they're getting emasculated. Women are a lot stronger and they just don't know how to just be like, I feel like I'm more of a man than a man is a man these days,
So good. Sorry, elaborate on that a bit more, because I remember this conversation when we had this conversation, and there were bits of it I was like, yeah, and there was bits of it I was like, yeah, no, I don't know. So give me some examples.
So, like, I hear it. I have a lot of male friends as well. I hear, especially a lot of women will go out on dates with people that they have zero interest in just because they're like, oh, it's a free dinner or it's a free drink, which is sad, It's sad because you shouldn't use people in that sense, but it happens, unfortunately. There's nothing you can really do about it.
Especially on dating apps as well.
Exactly. And so then, for instance, these men that maybe have that bit more vulnerability to be a little bit more masculine, it's just getting pulled away from them, and like I'm still to this day like, let a man just come up to me like, wow, you're really pretty, or hey, can I have your number, or hey, you're single. If that happens, I think you're literally like, is this really is this real? Like, because it doesn't happen anymore, because the fear of rejection and the fear that, like, women are just so much more masculine than men because of, oh, you can't speak to a woman this way, or you can't do this. And obviously, to some degree, I understand there's some things that definitely lines should not be crossed. Of course there is. But then there's also some things where it's kind of like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, so where does it leave you as a man? Can I do this, or can I suggest this, or is it appropriate for me to do this? Or it's so hard. Like, you just don't know whether you're coming or going. So it's kind of just left women being like, hey, are you free on this day? Should we go for a drink? I find that a lot more women are more forward because we just get sick of waiting for the man to be like, hey, let's go for a drink, or let's do dinner, or it's sad. It's
so when you meet guys, Sam, do you find you're taking the lead more and more and being quite forward? And me and you, we're going out.
Look, I've tried everything. I've tried to wait. I've tried to, because I think there was a big point of my life where I felt, and I think it's my own journey as well. You think you do compare yourself to other people, like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I date? Why isn't people asking me out? And it's a lot of energy. And I get that, like, I'm a strong woman, I'm intimidating. And also I've had my own things where, I've not thought that I'm worthy of enough, or I don't feel like I'm comparing myself to somebody else. I'm like, oh, I'm not as pretty as this person. It's very tough. I've tried both kind of ways of like letting them come to me and then me, you know, saying the first let's go for a drink. And both ways, it just really depends on the person. I think now I've just learned to put so little pressure on it, and so like whatever happens kind of thing. It's out of your control, because there's definitely people that I've spoken to that I'm like, oh, I really like, you know, this person, ticks my boxes, definitely like attractive, got good height, you know, just the small things, like we've got good conversation. And then I'm left a bit like, I don't want to push it too much, because I would like to allow them the space to kind of be like, hey, let's go for a drink. And then I've just stopped speaking to these people. And rather than me be like, I wonder if you just didn't like me enough to not want to meet me for a drink or something, you know, like it's just not that deep. I've just allowed that energy to just pass. But it's just, it's difficult. It's difficult. You have to do it base on different people. I think ultimately I'd always love for the guy to be like, hey, like, oh, let's go for a drink sometime. It's too open. Hey, you free on Thursday? Let's go for a drink. Like, that's the big difference of what I find attractive, and what kind of makes me a bit like, oh yeah. And then I'll leave the plans open. Like, maybe I'll do something else on Thursday because I'm not that bothered about meeting that person, you know?
Yeah, I think with guys, especially, I think they've lost the ability to go up and actually chat to women anyway, because I think the rejection is a big part of it.
Yeah.
I think for some of us, we've kind of got over the rejection a long time ago, so we're not even bothered. Another rejection, who cares? So but I think because of social media massively, like, and I'm really big on this with my son Zach, like, he will go up and talk to anyone because I've brought him up that way. Where most of the
rare breeds, that's what that is.
Yeah, and I think it's a great skill as well, because a lot of the guys now, they're like, or not just the guys, the girls, they're really good on keyboards, but they can't actually talk to someone face to face. They can't look them in the eye. They can't actually look at them. They can't be a little bit flirty or a little bit cheeky with them. They just, you know, they're great, but they're great with their words. And everyone's like, oh yeah, I've got really good banter. And I'm thinking, but you can't hold a conversation. I mean.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I found that actually a lot. I've spoken to a lot of guys before, and they've just been like pen pals. Like, nothing's ever progressed. And I personally don't understand it. Like, I don't know. I'm an emotional person. Like, I need to see someone. I'm creative. I need to see, you know, touch, feel. Just on keyboard. And I even say this on my dating profiles, like, terrible texter, because unless you've got a text or there's a conversation flowing, like, I'm just not going to waste my time messaging. Give me a voice note, give me a phone call, because I can't be bothered, you know. And some men will happily just not even meet you. It's bizarre.
So was you one of those girls that wanted, like, because when I did the dating apps, and I haven't done them for 2 or 3 years now, but when I did them, I would just literally say, hi, how are you? Like, as an opener. I had I wasn't going to go in with like a line, because if I met you in a bar, that's what I'd come up to you and go, hey, how you doing? And then just talk. But a lot of them, like, people would come and go, is that the best you've got? I mean, what do you want? I don't even know yet.
Look, it's really tough. Like, I have one opener, it hasn't changed. It's literally, that's it. And I don't say anything else. And based on that, like, obviously, hey, how are you? What's going on? Or then I think, take some interest, look at the person's profile. What does it say about them? Kind of mention something for that, like, act that you're interested, you know, or don't mess around too much. Because in Dubai, it's always the same thing. Hi, where are you from? Do you live here? How long have you been here? It's always the same conversations, right? Because obviously it's a tourist place and people just are on holiday. So that it just becomes so boring that it's literally like, hey, how are you? Yeah, I'm good. How's your day? Great. Okay, should we go for coffee, or should we go for a walk, or should we go for a drink? Boom. Just like that. Don't waste no time. No pen paling. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. But, you know, at least you put yourself out there, and you were out in the universe, essentially, not just behind a screen, you know, pretend, maybe even catfishing. You know what I mean? So
that's why I always just did. I had literally, hi, how are you? And then I would say, like, you know, do you want to talk? And then I'd talk to you on the phone. Then I'd do a video call, because everyone looks different in pictures.
Exactly.
But within I've always said to people on here that if you're still talking 6 sentences later, it's not happening. You're not going out.
Yes, exactly. Which is something that I don't talk as much anymore. Like, if it's just going to be going on and on and on and on, like, nah, I'm going to shut it down, because I'm not here for a pen pal.
And it just gets boring. But I did find, I
Yeah.
don't know about you when you first started doing them, and when I sort of started using the apps for the first time, I literally got excited about everyone. But then, and that's a big mistake. I was like, this
Yeah,
is
that
it.
probably. You're like,
This is
yes,
the
I got a
one.
match. I got a match. I'm so good.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's very easy to get matches. I think as a woman, like more than man, maybe. I think, like, if you're semi, I don't know, if you got it put together a little bit.
yeah.
But then it's also, I don't know, did you never notice that everyone that you wanted to match with would never match with you, and all the people you didn't want to match with you? So it's like constant like chase, right? Like, oh, I wonder if this person, like, do we match, or yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
like I say,
The work.
I put my I think it was like Hinge, I can't remember. Maybe it was Hinge, yeah. And as soon as I landed in UK, it was like plus 50 likes to you, and I was like, oh, let's have a little look at what we've got. Honestly, everyone was like too young, too not who I would go for, too old, too short. And I think there was maybe like 5 max from like 2 times that I had like 50 plus. So, it's literally law of averages, right?
So when you say too young, what's too young for you?
Like 22, 24, 26, definitely. And like at the end of the day, I think as as women, and especially me, who's very like independent, I need someone who can match my level of maturity. Now, obviously be young, but I still need like a man, not a boy.
Yeah.
That's where age is just a number. It really is just how you act. But I think, unfortunately, like a 22-year-old isn't really on the same level as me, in terms of like my life experience and what I've lived in life. So, yeah.
So when you was in Ibiza, sort of a more of an organic situation, you know. So did you get a lot of attention from guys? You must have done out there. So what happened? What's the best line you heard when you was away this time?
Like nothing. No one approached me. No one like said anything. No one like nothing. Zero. Absolute nothing.
Nothing at all.
Zero. I think Martin probably flirted with me
I
the
was going to
most.
say, I think Martin had a fair crack at you, didn't he? But I think Martin was going under the guise
Martin
of
was just being Martin.
he was trying to convince you that you fancied him for ages. It was like that hypnotist sort of look in my eyes.
Yeah, no, literally nothing, zero. I think the most conversation I had was with obviously you guys. I didn't speak to anyone in any of the places we were at, nothing. No one came up to us. No one even like, obviously it's Ibiza, it's expensive, but no one offered to buy a drink, like
Yeah.
absolutely nothing. But also like, I think before where that, especially when you're younger, I think that mentality of like, oh, let's go out, let's see who we're going to pull tonight, when you're a lot younger. And even just having that attention on a night out, especially if you've like, you've got dressed up, you feel good about yourself, and getting zero, that can play a lot on your own confidence as well. So it's really about how you feel and how it makes you feel. And I think it's, again, going back to social media, you really compare, so it's difficult to not feel good about yourself. But then also in my instance, like I was literally just there to see my friend who had never been to Ibiza just go to Ibiza. So it wasn't like I was like, right, let's see, am I going to find my future husband this time? Like, no, And also, like, I don't live in Ibiza. I mean, maybe if a Spanish man might have come up to me and be like, hey, I'm the love of your life, would I move back to Ibiza? Yeah, probably.
So you're open to anything. Well, Sam, I've really enjoyed chatting to you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
I've really enjoyed it, and I wish you the best of luck in Dubai. And I'm sure you'll have guys calling all over you. Get some new ones off the boat. Just wait at the airport or wherever they come in from and grab some there.
Yeah, I'll be there waiting. New single man. Don't look anywhere else.
But listen, Sam, thank you for coming on. Guys, thank you for tuning in to Fifth Shades and thank you for tuning into Fifth Shades and Greys. Make sure you subscribe and you follow, and we'll catch up with you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, Sam, brilliant. Stay there, darling. Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you.